You're a Marine?
Mr. Cordova, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, point of order, it's 5 o'clock, and I don't see our president. Can you open it up?
Yes, sir.
Can we, it's 5 o'clock, can you open it up, please?
Hello, everybody.
Hello,
Welcome
Mr.
to
Cordova.
Welcome to the Cobre School Board meeting. I'll call this meeting to order. It's 5 o'clock. A roll call of officers, the roll call for the board members. Mr. Holguin, if you're here.
Here.
Mr. Gomez.
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Mr. Sepulveda. Mr. Sepulveda, was you on? Okay, I don't hear Mr. Sepulveda or Mr. Guadiana.
He's
Will you
having
please stand?
trouble. Toy is having trouble logging in.
Will you please stand for the pledge?
Okay, guys. Okay.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico as the symbol among United cultures. Okay, the next item is approval of the agenda items. Mr. Mendoza, any changes or anything to the agenda?
No, the only thing I was concerned is we have Miss Whiteman. We owe it to her that she start first. Okay,
Yes, okay. There being no changes, can I have a motion for approval?
Gomez, so moved.
Motion by Mr. Gomez. Do I hear a second? A second?
This is Toy, second.
Okay, second by Toy. Any questions? Any questions? We'll have a vote. Mr. Gomez,
Yes.
Mr. Holguin, Gabriel,
Yes.
Toy,
Yes.
myself, yes, motion passes. Okay, I'll turn it over to our president, Mr. Sepulveda. The next thing is approval of the board meetings of February the 8th.
Entertain a motion for approval of the minutes of February 8th.
So moved.
Motion by who?
This is Gabe.
Motion by Mr. Holguin, second.
Cordova, second.
Any corrections to the minutes? Call for the vote. Mr. Holguin,
Yes.
Mr. Guadiana,
He's not present.
okay. Mr. Gomez,
Yes.
Mr. Cordova,
Yes.
motion passes. Moves us to update on unfinished business. Item A, Mr. Mendoza.
yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. It is, first of all, I want to apologize to Ms. Whiteman that we had to have her wait at the last board meeting, and she got tied up with another board. But we made sure she was going to be first on today's agenda. Mr. Holguin, can you do us the honor of introducing Ms. Whiteman, please?
I am here.
Okay. Yeah, I won't belabor it too much, but Kathy Whiteman is the dean of the Natural Resources Department at WNMU, and we've been working closely together on a fire curriculum for Western that Cobre students could benefit from. So with that, I'd just like to turn it over to Ms. Whiteman.
Thanks, Gabe. I appreciate that. And just to clarify, I'm not the dean of the department. I am a chair of the department. So just want to clarify that. I'm having some problems with my staying connected here with a Google Meet, so I'm calling in on the phone. I really appreciate being able to share with everybody, and I also want to just again, last week, wow, you guys are really working hard on the COVID-19 thing. So no apologies needed. I appreciate your hard work keeping the schools and the kids safe right now. It's really important work. So as Gabe was saying, that we have a fire curriculum that we've put together. We've got a certificate program and an associate's degree in wildland fire science. We've been working with Sandra and Ms. Peru to figure out when we could, schedule classes so that the class times worked for the Cobre students, the dual enrolled students. And so we have our first 2 fire classes on the books for the fall. There's a Wildland Fire 1, a Wildland Fire 2, and then we have Technical Skills 1 and Technical Skills 2. We've been working with, as Gabe mentioned, the Forest Service, and the Forest Supervisor really wants to hire local youth to work on the fire crews, to get local students involved in the camp crews in the summertime. And so we've really built a really nice pathway to get students involved in a career without really ever having to leave here if they don't choose to. So like I said, we have a 31 credit certificate program. We have an 18 credit fast track certificate program, and then we have the associate's degree in wildland fire science. And classes are on the books for Tuesday. Actually, I'm sorry, take that back. It's Wednesday and Fridays next, starting in the fall, and the classes will be from 4 to 6:45 in the evening on Wednesday, and then Friday from 1 to 4. And we built that so that the Cobre kids and the kids out in the Gila Cliff Valley could attend. They only do a 4-day school week, so they have Friday afternoons available. And then we tried to really schedule around athletics, so that the students who are involved in athletics wouldn't miss out on the Tuesday, Thursday practice. So I guess with that, I'd take any questions. I don't know what else we could. Gabe, can you think of anything that I missed there that we need to talk about?
I don't think so, but I think it's probably worth mentioning that it's, would be part of the dual credit program, so that, students would be able to get, I believe, through Cobre, these courses as part of that program. So I think that's another added benefit.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. That all of these classes they're academic classes, and so dual enrolled students, they get college credit for them. It's just whether or not a student wants to go. The difference is whether a student wants to earn a certificate or whether they want to get an associate's degree. It's sort of where whatever a student would like to do, and we think that probably sophomores, juniors, and seniors are more of a target, but certainly sophomores who are really interested could, take these classes as well.
So I would just also add that, once they complete this, as long as they're 18, they would be able to apply for seasonal jobs as firefighters. And if they completed it and they were only 16, then they would be able to be a part of our camp crew program. So either way, it's beneficial for For me, putting my other hat on, to be able to have a pool to draw from, for summer jobs, temp jobs, and of course they would all be local, so that's another added benefit there. So it's a good addition to the program that we already have.
Does anybody have any questions? I'm sorry, I keep trying to connect and keep being kicked off of Google Meet, so I'm not sure that I'm actually going to be able to see anybody, but I could answer any questions that any of you have.
I'm sorry to.
This is Toy. I was just going to say that, yeah, this program, I know that we've been trying to get it through for quite a few years. I retired from the Forest Service, and we tried getting it then, but we kept running into some roadblocks, and I'm sure glad that somebody has finally kind of got over that, and hope we can get it going.
Thank you. Yeah, I understand the same thing, that that folks have been trying. We won't be able to offer a baccalaureate program in wildland fire science, but we are set up to do an associate's program. And the Forest Service folks are going to help to teach the classes, so that's really great. The forest has been directly involved, and I just think it's a great opportunity for not only college kids but also high school kids.
Troy, I had a question as well. I'm sorry I joined the meeting a little bit late. I had a little trouble logging on, but I appreciate having the opportunity for students to
we all
participate
did.
in this. Oh, yeah. Well, I appreciate the opportunity for having students participate in especially workforce training. I was just curious as to, is there any benefit of having the program where we have the what do you call it, the drones, I'm sorry, as far as work skills that they may need? And also, is this lead to certification if they do come to use the drones in that line of work?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't lead directly to the drones. The drones that's a sort of a tangential program. I have had a conversation about the drones. I do have worked with. I'm sure all of you are familiar with Maria Elena Garcia and the Steaming Ahead for Success, and some of the work that she's been doing with Cobre. And I've talked to Mr. Garcia about the drones, and so there's been a conversation about that. But the drones are not. It's not particularly part of the curriculum. If you'd like, I can send you the course descriptions for each of the courses, and I could tell you a little bit more about those. I mean, if you'd like to read them, I could also tell you about each of the courses. The students who are enrolled in the classes will gain certifications that are valuable to the Forest Service. So these are, workforce ready certificates. They're industry recognized. So I think that they would also apply for, I think you guys call it a CTE, a continuing education, career technical education, I think is what but it's a CTE. Forgive me if I'm not correct on all of the jargon. But yeah, each of the classes has some certificate that's associated with them. Like the students who enroll in the program will take a wilderness first responder course, so they'll get a certificate and they'll be a wilderness first responder. They have the opportunity to do all of the coursework that leads up to a red card. So then they get certificates along the way for each of the Forest Service components.
Cool. So in addition,
does that answer your question? Does that help?
Yes, it does. Thank you very much.
Okay, great. Sure.
Any other questions?
Any other questions? Oh, go ahead.
No other questions? Well, thank you, ma'am. And I'm sure Gabe will be tying in with some people at the high school and trying to get them over there and signed up.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you all. Thanks, Gabe, and thank you all for your time. If you do have any questions, I'm pretty easy to find. Gabe has my contact information. A couple of you have my contact information, so if you have any questions, let me know. And thanks for your time tonight.
Thanks,
Thank
Kathy.
you.
Sorry, I can't
Thank
see
you.
any of you.
Thank
Okay,
you.
I'll hang up now then. Thank you so much.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.
Mr.
Mr.
Mendoza.
Sepulveda, item B, approval of the 219-220 audit report. Mike Stone and McGee, please. You're on.
I think I'm on. Am I on?
Yes, sir.
You
Okay.
bet.
Okay. These things bug me. I don't do this very much, so I never know if I'm on or not. So I apologize for that. Okay. As to your audit has been released by the New Mexico State Auditor after unbelievable delays. But we're in a situation where we're at his mercy, and this is as soon as we could get it released. It was timely, but it was filed prior to November 15th. But I apologize for it being late, and that's all I can do. They're all working from home, and it doesn't seem to be working out very well for them. There's some people that have had them up there for 6 months, it seems like, and they haven't got them back. But anyway. First and most important, you have an unmodified opinion on the financial statements, which is as high an opinion as we can possibly give as auditors. Secondly, you have an unmodified opinion on your compliance with federal regulations related to your federal funding, Title I, entitlement, those programs. Basically, other than that, we do have some comments starting on page 87 of the audit report. And the first one is of the most importance, 2020-001. We've been having trouble reconciling our bank accounts. There were reasons for that beyond our control to some extent, but I think we have had that for basically the last 3 years. The amounts have come down, but Terry and I have developed a process here where we're providing the reconciled bank accounts to the district, and she's going to have them. She will have them a starting point for that, and I'm hoping that will get that taken care of. It is considered a material weakness because if we couldn't have gone back and reconciled the accounts, we would have had to disclaim an opinion on the financial statements, and that's certainly not something you want to do because that has an effect on your bond ratings, on your just everything. So anyway, we're working on it. We've got them, and we believe the cash balances as of June 30th, 2020, after we worked in conjunction with Terry, are now correct. Okay. The next one, every district has trouble with, and that's cash receipting from the various schools. And basically, this is the activity funds, which are collected at the schools and then sent in. If you notice that we only had 4 instances noted where a deposit was not made within the appropriate time period, that's really not that bad, particularly given the scenario where people are working from home. There may not be a secretary there. This again was just another non-compliance. This one is really a minor issue. We didn't have any indication that they didn't eventually get it deposited to the district. It was just the timing of it. Okay. Number 3, which is on page 88, starting at the bottom of page 88, is expenditures in excess of budget authority. Let me make it very clear that we're not indicating that the funds weren't available. We're indicating the way your budget process works is if you have a line item that has been overexpended, that's a finding in our audit report. If you were a municipality or a county, their budget control is at the fund level. However, you guys are held to a higher standard as a school district, and therefore, if you have over expenditures at the budget, at the line item level, at the function level, then that's considered a finding. This can occur for several different reasons. The main one of which is if you have funds at the end of the year that you expended in, say, entitlement, and then the State Department PED decides that no, that doesn't fit into the category of entitlement, you have to move it back to the operational fund. And by the time you get it back to the operational fund, it's too late for them to allow you. Well, I don't know if it's too late for them to allow you, but they will not allow you to adjust your budget. So that's basically what happens in this situation. It's not an indication that we're necessarily on a fund level that we're overexpending. It's just on the individual line items. And unfortunately, I don't agree with the fact that they hold you to the line item designation as a school, but they always have. So we're in that situation. Okay. Okay. We had on page 89 travel reimbursements. You'll notice that we were overpaid 3 times, totaling $77. Not really a major issue. Appropriate approval, we were missing in 24 instances. This is a direct result of people being in the office or being able to make those approvals. We didn't have any indication that travel was made that wasn't for district purposes, but we need the appropriate approval at the level. And depending on who's traveling, it may be their supervisor. If you get up the ladder to the superintendent, then it's up to the board to decide who would make that decision on travel. But whether it would fall to the finance director to approve his travel, or whether you guys would want to come in and do that as a board member, that's something that's basically up to you. But anything other than that, certainly the superintendent could approve them. We just, again, I didn't have any indication that we were traveling when we shouldn't be. It's just that we need the appropriate approval, and it's another non-compliance item. Okay. Okay. Last one, expenditures. We had a purchase order dated after the invoice in 22 instances, totaling $57,279. You guys can read this. I don't have to read it to you. But again, I think this one is the size of the number of times that this happened is directly related to people working from home, not being in the office, the paperwork not crossing across their desks in time. Again, we did not note any purchases that we felt were outside the scope of what the district should be doing. It's more of a compliance. You know, if we're individuals, we can go out and write a check. As a district, we can't do that. We've got to issue a purchase order. The purchase order's got to be approved. Then we have to have receipting acknowledged on there before we can pay the bill. If any one of those things doesn't happen, it's a violation of procurement code. Again, it's another non-compliance item. It's not a material weakness. It's something that the further you go in the district, the more you spend, the more that goes on. It's hard to comply all the time. But I think this was directly related to whether people were in the office or not, the level of them. Other than that, I don't have any other comments. Again, an unmodified opinion on the financial statements, which is as good as you can get. So your bondholders aren't going to be concerned about whether these financial statements are appropriate. And basically, that's all I have, and I will try to answer any questions if anybody has any.
Yeah, Mike, I have a couple of questions, and probably not as detailed as I would like to have them. This document wasn't distributed with our in a timely manner, just like last year, except last year wasn't distributed at all. This year, we only got it 1 hour prior to, I only got it 1 hour prior to the meeting. But what bothers me is the repeat nature of the findings. And let's start with 001. In the previous audit, we said we'd fix this problem by February 28th of last year. And it still continued on. And the discrepancies of total cash then were a little bit less. There were 234,000. And again, they were at 214,000. That's a sizable amount. Reconciliations happen on the fly, basically, before they get put into a bank account. I don't understand how we can be making deposits without having reconciliations.
Well, basically, it's turned around. When you get reimbursed by the state, they deposit it directly to your bank account. Okay, and most of your guys' stuff comes in through electronic fund transfers. They don't come in through checks. So at the end of the month, when you get your bank statement, you've got to make sure that even though they made a notification to you, you need to make sure that you have deposited it. I mean, not that it's been deposited, but that you have recorded it by receipting it in. We had instances where we had situations specifically with reimbursements from the state for state and federal grants both, which went into the bank, but did not necessarily get posted to the general ledger. It's not necessarily a cash problem in the bank account. What it is more than anything else is the fact that we're not reconciling back to the general ledger. We may not be getting a receipt posted. We may not be getting some other charge if it's an electronic fund transfer posted. We spent substantial time trying to go back and make sure that we got those all in so that we could express an opinion on the financial statements. But that's the reason.
Okay.
Harry, I see you raising your hand. Harry, go ahead.
I can address that question if that's okay, Mike.
That's fine with me, Terry.
Okay, so part of the problem is it started in 1819 when we first started, and one of the reasons, and it was in the audit last year, is that the reimbursements from the federal grant programs were not coming in as quickly as we were spending the money out. So part of the problem that was becoming a problem in the reconciliations is that we had to transfer money in from operational to the federal programs to cover those expenditures at that point, and then rolling it back the other way was creating some of those issues. So like Mike said, what's in the bank is actually what's in the bank. Sometimes when funds come in, like he said, the ACHs that come into the wrong bank account. And so they require a transfer from one bank account to the other. And so the general ledger doesn't always reflect at that point in time until a later date when it gets reconciled in the next month, or when the money actually does get transferred to the correct fund. So there are 9 bank accounts in our accounting system. So if it's there's the ones that come into the federal funds, the ones that come into the food service funds, and so on. So yes, it has been a reconciling issue from when I walked in. That was one of my things that I needed to get corrected in 1920 when this audit went in. Because if you recall our audit, because of the 1819 struggles that we had in our first year, the audit didn't get completed until February. And that was something that us and the auditors agreed that was necessary to happen. And so then COVID came into place in March. So some of the reconciliation issues from working from home and so forth, like it states in the audit report, became an issue to make sure that 1920 got taken care of. Now, 2021, we're on a better track.
Okay, I just want to note that it's 7 out of the 9 accounts had reconciliation issues.
It was primarily
Yes,
the 3, but yes, there were some reconciling issues in the different bank accounts.
Okay. Another question I have is, unless anybody else has anything else on that one. The 003 finding, again, this is a repeat one, and the amount of instruction is at 121,000 and student support is at 71,000, which last year, the amount of discrepancy in the student support was 365,000. So I'm glad we're not doing as bad, but there's still a question. When you explained this, and also school administration was at 128,000. Now it's only almost 3,000. But still, in your explanation, basically, this transfer could have been made if brought to the board and justified as something that's going from one line item to another. Is that correct?
yes, sir, that's true. If you had timely information from PED, yes, sir, that's correct.
And that bothers me because that's kind of like laid out as a procedure requirement from PED, and we go through we have a lot of it's maybe our fault because we don't really have a lot of budget oversight, not effective anyway. But for 2 years in a row, for making transfers from one line item to another without getting board approval, especially when some of it seems so discretionary. When we have administrative functions being paid. Let me see, hold on. Last year we had school administration at 128,000. So I don't know who that was. Anyway, so I'd like a little bit more explanation of why it wasn't brought up to the board, and why last year's discrepancies weren't reviewed with the board, either through the audit committee or directly from finance, as to why those transfers of funding didn't get proper board approval before the funding was transferred.
I think that question is more pointed towards staff than it is me.
Absolutely. That is the case, Mike.
Okay.
It's also open to the audit committee.
So what this reflects is that if a transfer was made within the district and it didn't make it to PED, that's the difference. It's not that within house we didn't get approval at that point. It's that PED didn't reflect the same line item as we reflected at the district level. I couldn't begin to answer exactly what went to the board the prior year to this year, but I know when it's out of function transfers or any decreases, those go directly to the board and to PED before they're reflected. So what's considered out of function transfer is like from the 1,000 to any of the 2,000 functions, which could be from student support, general administration, all fall under the same function. So it's only when it goes from the 1,000 function or vice versa that it would be reflected that way. And there might have been instances, and I honestly, on an 1819 to a 1920, to answer a question for you specifically here, it would take a lot more information to be able to pull out specifics.
I understand the one for the previous audit it's kind of late to look at it now, but it is something that, to me, it seems like the audit committee would have had a responsibility to report why that kind of an error is made. And I'm not quite sure I agree with you in terms of the explanation you gave, because the finding itself is expenditures in excess of budgetary authority. And that budgetary authority is granted by the board if it's presented with that, and evidently that did not happen.
It says in budgetary authority in the following functions and funds. So PED specifies that if it goes out of function, that's when it'll incur a problem.
And so it went out of function and did not get proper approval, which would be a bar.
Right.
Which we didn't get. And I don't understand why that would happen.
I don't know specifically which things would have created those problems at this point, but I mean, we can only assure that we will make every effort. The other thing that causes that is in excess of budget authority is if the carryovers came in June and we had to go forward and post them to our budgets and PED didn't reflect it at the time, then that may have caused a discrepancy as well in the fund. That would be the case like in pre-K on the next page where it says the pre-K grant. That would have been that kind of issue.
In either case, you would be entering that in a line item that didn't reflect that, and the bar would still be necessary.
And Mike, can I ask a question here? This is Boy. Was there some kind of recommendation from you to correct this?
Are you asking me, Toy?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, we made a recommendation on how to correct it last year. Yes, sir. We would have made a recommendation anytime that we had a comment. The problem comes down to the end of the year, and
Okay,
sometimes what happens is when you guys send in a request for reimbursement, say from pre-K, and they disallow that, by the time they get it disallowed and sent back to you and you have to push it over to your line item, they won't let you make a budget adjustment, is basically what's happened. I mean, in some instances, I have no direct knowledge of how these particular numbers occurred, but that is one reason, because I see it in other districts where that happens, and then that has to be shifted back to the operational account, and then they won't let you make a budget adjustment because it's too late, because they were too late getting back to you. But I'm not indicating that's what happened here. Basically, when you come down to the end of the year and you're looking at this stuff, you need to look at it and see if you can make budget adjustments. But in some cases, it's out of your hand until PED gets back to you. So and then you have no choice. You have to put it somewhere.
And
yeah, that's what I thought.
regarding your recommendation, Mike, last year, your recommendation ended with a sentence that's repeated this year, and that is supervisory personnel should be involved in the year-end and budgetary adjustment process. Who do you mean by supervisory personnel?
Well, I think supervisory personnel to me would mean the finance director and if necessary, and if necessary, hello, I'll get it out in a minute here.
That's okay.
Then the superintendent would be involved. To me, that's supervisory personnel.
Okay.
Now that would be dependent on the superintendent's decision as to how he wanted to handle it in terms of who he wanted involved in the process. But it certainly should be, somebody at the higher levels.
And so we have the same finding and the same recommendation, and so supervisory personnel should be involved. Was supervisory personnel involved? And this is a question for Mr. Mendoza.
Yes. The answer is yes, Mr. Guardiana. In terms of making decisions, yes or no, as we go forward. But like I'm telling you, as superintendent, you allow your people to do their work. You don't want to micromanage every little bit of it, because that's why we have the procurement office, and that's why we have our finance director, because that's their specialties. But yes, I'm involved, and then on every point we have our meetings and we go forward. Okay. And yes, we have a lot of situations where, as Mike mentioned about the PED department, when not approving purchases that we've made, and then we've had to carry it over. Sometimes we've had to carry it over into another budget. So there's a lot of reasons on this, and I appreciate, Mike, the way you're explaining it. I understand it so wholeheartedly. And for me, I'm not going to make excuses, Mr. Guardiana, and that's what it is,
Well, the way you characterized it was basically a mode of operation for the general operation of finance. But in this case, it's a repeat deficiency, and the deficiency called out for more scrutiny. And so it seems that didn't occur.
I respect your opinion, but that's your opinion, sir. But that's not my opinion, and that's.
But a lot of times, but a lot of times, like they said a while ago, by the time the PED gets it back to us, we have to pay out, so it's got to come out of our operational funds. And then when the money comes in, by the time it comes in, they do not let us make that other budget adjustment because we've already paid. And so there's a big conflict. By the time we get the money from the state, the PED and everybody else, we've already had to pay. So we had to make that adjustment from our operational funds, but then they don't let us do the other way around.
And that adjustment should have been done with the bar ahead of time and giving the board notice of such of an adjustment. And that's all we're really talking about. And that seems to be something that the board isn't effectively looking at and tracking.
Well, there have been bars, Mr. Guadiana, that we have approved.
Mr. Sepulveda,
This one wasn't. Clearly, this one wasn't. It wouldn't be a finding if that were the case.
Mr. Sepulveda and members of the board, in a nutshell, we will move forward and we will take the recommendations of Mike Stone, and there'll be more reviews here, but at the same time, I can't sit here and make excuses. Okay, we just move forward and correct it for the next budget, but we'll get this corrected, Mr. Guardiana. I'm not gonna sit here, superintendent, and do a blame game, okay? Because that's what this is not for. We need to all be working together, and I trust Terry and her department. So it will be corrected, okay? That's all I can tell you.
And moving forward, it isn't just administration, it is the board. There is an audit committee. This has not been reviewed, hasn't been, there hasn't been oversight to say, okay, how are we doing compared to our previous findings? And the board gets absolutely no information from the audit committee. Last year, there was also a significant finding having to do with grant monies that weren't requested in time and expenditures for grants that weren't submitted on time. And the finding there specifically mentioned that we may not be paid for those things. And that's the kind of stuff that the finance committee should be working with the board, informing us and working with you as well as finance to get together. I agree. It's not a cooperative effort, but more importantly, it's not happening. And that's been my point for quite some time.
Okay, I think
Thank you.
that we need to like Mr. Mendoza said, move on, take his recommendation, and let's move forward and try to do better for our next audit.
With that said, Mr. Sepulveda, the administration
Okay, Mike,
recommends that you approve the budget as presented by Stone and McGee. The audit, I'm
you heard
sorry.
the recommendation. Do I hear a motion?
Gomez, so moved.
Motion by Mr. Gomez, second
Cordova, second.
by Mr. Cordova. Any other comment?
I'd like in the future to get the document earlier than last year. We didn't get it. This year, 1 hour early. I think to give us an opportunity to review it is essential. And basically, you're defeating the purpose of our responsibility by not distributing that in a timely manner.
The audit, normally we get this audit report when Mike comes and gives us the findings at our board meeting. That's when we get the audit report, because it's not public information until we vote on it tonight.
What's public information is not
And
relevant
normally
to what we're talking about. It is open to board members even after it's been submitted. It's not closed to board members.
I know it. Normally, we don't get this audit report until Mike comes and presents it to us at the board meeting. That's when we
You
get
mean
it.
we don't get a copy of what Mike submits for us in November?
Not until Mike comes and gives it to us. Is that right, Mike?
I'm kind of losing you guys. You're breaking up a little bit, but are you asking, do they get a copy of the audit report at the time that we submit it? No, because it's not released for public information. So we can't release it. What we could do, if you guys so desire in the future, is we could present you a draft copy of it. We could do that.
That would be very helpful, Mike. Thank you very much.
Yeah, but what I was saying, Mike, that normally we don't get this report that you're giving to us right now until you come and present it to us at the board meeting.
That's correct. Now we provided it to the district somewhat in advance of this meeting today, but it's only after the state auditor has released the report. Once the state auditor sends us a letter saying that your report is okay to release, then we provide copies to the district. We have not done that prior to that. That's correct.
And the point is that that final report is going to be held until that approval is there. But we can have, as just Mike mentioned, view of the draft that gives us a substantial understanding. So when we can get it the day it is, when it's approved, we can have better review of that and exercise our responsibility as board members to make sure that things are being done properly.
I guess that's something that could be done. We have a motion and a second on the floor. Mr. Holguin.
You're muted, Gabe.
Yeah, I would just say that I agree with Gilbert, that folks need to be held accountable if the issues continue to be reoccurring. I think it's something we need to look at. And the only way to hold people accountable is by doing, performance appraisals, evaluations. So, but I'll just say, I'll say yes on this.
Mr. Guadiana.
Yes.
Mr. Gomez.
Yes.
Mr. Cordova.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Motion carries. Thank you very much, Mike.
Thanks.
Thank
Mike.
you, guys. See you later.
Moves us to item C, Mr. Mendoza.
Yes, review of status of school entry readiness. And we also held Nelson Diaz will do a presentation on the pods. And at this time, Joyce Varela, please, Joyce.
Mr. President, members of the board. So on the school reentry, the state is going to be putting out another updated toolkit that's scheduled to be released this week. So we will revise our plan accordingly once we receive that. We do have the fire marshal scheduled to be in our district tomorrow and Wednesday. Vaccines, we were able to get 4 out of the 6 schools vaccinated for all staff members who wanted to be vaccinated. The weather and the issues that happened with Texas and actually across most of the country put a halt to some of the vaccines being distributed because they were not able to fly them out. So we are still waiting for the other 2 schools to be contacted for scheduling their vaccine. We do have some updated numbers as far as our remote and hybrid. The principals have contacted parents again regarding that. So currently, at the last board meeting 2 weeks ago, the elementary had 25% who wanted to remain on remote. Currently, we're at 27%. The middle school at the last board meeting had 20% who wanted to remain on remote. Right now, we're at 26%. The high school had 19% who wanted to remain at remote on the last board meeting, and today we're at 29%. We do have several students. We have 17 students at the middle school that they have not yet been able to contact the parents. And we have 82 parents at the high school that have not yet been contacted. Both the middle school and high school are leaving messages, but the parents have not called back to let us know whether the students want to be remote or hybrid. So when we look at schedules and staffing and the rollout for the reentry plan, it's going to look a little bit different at each school based on multiple factors. One factor would be depending on the number of staff who want to stay out. Another factor is going to be dependent on how many staff want to remain out until they receive their second vaccine. And then again, how many kids want to stay remote, how many kids want to come for hybrid. So the rollout will look a little bit different. The schedules will look just a little bit different at each one of the individual buildings.
Joyce,
Yes.
is it possible to get a copy of the schedules? I've obtained one from the high school, and I'm concerned about that. I'm glad to see Sandra here. I mean, Ms. Montoya. And it has basically a 2-minute time to go from one class to another, which I appreciate that we're hurrying that, but whether that's functional or not, I don't know. But more importantly, it has half-hour intervals for classes. And I'm kind of wondering exactly how productive a half-hour class would be.
So Mr. Guardian, I'm not sure which schedule you have. We have repeatedly changed schedules. Schedules are still being revised today. So I know Ms. Montoya is coming on because that is not the most current schedule. So Ms. Montoya, you want to explain that, please?
Yes. So we revised the schedule again. Our class periods are now an hour long. So first period would be 8 to 9:15 with breakfast in the classroom. We did increase the passing periods to 3 minutes. I know we may end up having to readjust the schedule because I still don't think 3 minutes is going to be enough. But right now we have 3 minutes per class or per grade level to try and get them through the halls as quickly as possible. So second period would go from 9:26 to 10:26. Third period, 10:38 to 11:38. We do have a 30-minute lunch period, which will be in the cafeteria. Fourth period, depending on whether they have A or B lunch, will also be an hour. I think fourth period for the A lunch students is 63 minutes because I just couldn't get the schedule to work out to where everyone was 60. So I gave them 63 minutes. Then we have included 2 academic periods to help us meet the 5.5 hours for the instructional time. And those academic periods will be used for the students that are failing. They will be assigned with a teacher in their subject area that they're failing, and they'll be assigned to that teacher to work with them during those time frames.
That's I like that one a whole lot better, but it's just also we can be informed of the schedules. I'd appreciate that. You mentioned something that I found different. Was lunch in the cafeteria?
Yes.
Is
For the high school.
how is that going to work?
For
Yes,
the high
thanks.
school, we are still, we have the cafeteria labeled. 2 students will be sitting at each table. We have them the 6 feet apart. They all will be facing the front doors. And so they will walk up along the wall of where they exit, where they get their food. They'll walk up that wall, and then we have rows to where they're walking down. And so we'll go all the way towards the last wall to get the first one sitting, and then we'll go that way. If you want, you can go by the high school and we can show you the cafeteria. CB did an excellent job working on the cafeteria markings, and so we have little notes on the table saying make sure you stay facing front. And then once, we're also going to put some tables outside for when it's nice, and so the students can go outside and eat as well.
So you're going to have 2 lunch periods, I take it?
Yes.
And you basically have 75% of the students that would probably be going,
No, about
well, actually
60
even 30, it'd be more like 35%.
about
Yeah,
60
right now
students.
it's really hard to give us our numbers because like Mrs. Barella said, we don't have 80 some plus parents that have said whether they're coming back remote or not.
So the survey was of students?
No, I've had our secretaries calling parents.
Okay, so the numbers that she gave for the high school, which was 29 people now. I'm sorry, was it 29 or 20? Yeah, okay, it's gone up from 19 to 29.
29%.
So,
And that should increase because I just got 3 more parents today that called in saying that they're going remote. So I have
that's
3 more
80
students going strictly remote.
That's 86
okay.
students.
And 2 lunch periods for a big cafeteria, hopefully that'll work. That'll be
Yeah.
good.
I mean, I can send you the schedule. Everything's changing as we get more information from this PED.
I appreciate that. And I can go by, I'll call you and see what would be a good time to go by without interrupting your schedule, if that's possible.
We also, sir, just to let you know too, we also have multiple units in there, the air purifier units. We also have multiple in the cafeteria so that it will be more than enough to purify that air.
And we can open the windows.
And will there be plexiglass for where they pick up their trays, or are they going to be using trays?
No.
So
We're still working on that
Okay.
part.
Okay, we can talk about it.
We did order sufficient plexiglass. Again, with the weather in Texas, that was slowed down. So they should be shipped to us because they had nobody working for a little over a week because of the weather. So those will be shipped out no later than March 8th. So we did order extra plexiglass so that we can have extra for wherever we need to place it.
Good. With the fire marshals, when is the fire marshal coming?
Tomorrow. So we'll have the fire marshal 3 schools tomorrow and 3 schools on Wednesday.
Because I've gone by the portable at Hurley and nothing's happened to that, it seems like. Is that going to be part of the inspection?
Mr. Peru?
Yes.
Yes, sir. It'll be part of the inspection. It will be red tagged though, because we have not been able to complete the things with coyote cabling. So that will be red tagged. I know that's one red tag that we will get. I talked, Mr. Dial, Captain Dial is the one coming in. We will work on getting Hurley done tomorrow, Snell done, and Bayard Elementary. And then on Wednesday, Wednesday, we will work on getting the high school, Central, and San Lorenzo done. But the portable at Bayard will also be looked at, and then also the portable at Snell will be looked at.
So how will that red tag affect us in terms of opening up? Will we have to clear that red tag?
We haven't cleared it for students yet, so they'll just tag it because of the fact that it's under construction still, and the rest of the school will be set up differently. Because they're going to be looking at it just because of the fact that, because right now, since Coyote Cable hasn't been able to dig the trenches and put all the wiring in and everything, that's why it'll get red tagged, because it's not tied into the system yet. But it should not go against us on being able to move kids or do anything like that. No, sir.
And the reason is
Have
because
repairs
we do
been made to the inside? I know that the
locations.
stairwell is not.
I didn't understand either one
The
of you both were
stairs have
talking.
not been done.
No, they are actually working on the ramps right now, senor. I took pictures today, just in case somebody wanted to see them, I could send them to them. The welder was out there. He's doing the framework and everything right now for the ramps and the steps and everything. So they are putting that together right now.
And the insides, the fallen tiles, broken blinds.
Those we got in already, and the maintenance will be putting in the tiles. They will be fixing the drywall. We wanted to get that done also, and the heaters working, the air conditioners working, and then so we just need to get the fire extinguisher and everything set up in there, but we can't do it until Coyote Cable runs everything. But they'll do the steps, we'll do the drywall, and then we'll do the painting also. We got to do the painting and the inside and the outside once they complete the ramps.
And the restrooms and the leveling?
The leveling's complete. It is dead on right now. They did it with the laser. The contractor that was there, D&G Construction, they ran the laser on it and it's leveled all the way across. And then they shimmed where they needed to lift it, and it's leveled all the way through. It's
When did that happen?
about 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
Yes, sir. I'll be out there tomorrow with the inspections. Once the inspectors go off with the other workers, I mean, if you'd like, you can come by and we'll look at what they're doing with the ramps and all that, you know.
What time
If
would
you'd
that
like.
be?
The inspectors will be there at 10:30 in the morning. So we'll get them lined out. And then by the time they get going, maybe about 12 o'clock, we can look at everything.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay. Can you give me a call?
Yes, sir. I'll be there. I'll be at the school with the inspectors at that time with the fire marshals. So right after I get them together with them, because I have two of the workers have to go with them, the ones that handle our fire extinguishers and the ones that handle our pumps and things like that. They'll be going with the inspectors so that we're in groups less than 5. And I will be there waiting on the school so that they can meet with me after they do the initial inspection. So I'll have some free time in between. Once we get them lined out, I'll be there.
Thank you.
You bet. Yes, sir.
I have a question, George, for sanitizing. When does that happen, or will it happen between classes, or what?
So at the middle school and high school, because we have students coming into the classroom each period, they will need to wipe down the desk before the new group comes in. So, I mean, just like we do here, we're constantly sanitizing. Somebody else comes in, you wipe it down. Somebody leaves, you wipe it down. So we wipe down every morning when we come in. We wipe down every evening when we leave. So it's a constant wiping.
So the teachers are the ones going to be doing that, or do we have somebody in janitorial doing it?
Yeah, during the day and between classes, it would be the teachers, and then we do have the custodians. Principals will be working with custodians on alternate schedules so that we can make sure that cleaning is done. Better cleaning is done at the end of each day.
Okay.
We also have checklists put at every classroom so we can keep track of times and everything that everything's being disinfected.
Okay. Right.
All right, thank you.
And if, Mr. Mendoza?
Yeah, just board members, Mr. President, board members, I too will be there with George, and I'll be throughout the day and Wednesday with the fire marshal, making sure, jotting down, and I'll be there. And we got to remember that we have to limit the crowd that's with us, George. If I know you're listening, and it comes down to 5 to 1. So that's when we have to make sure that we're complying with that. We don't want to have problems. Next on the agenda is Nelson Diaz with the pods. Nelson, first question is, I got a lot of calls today. The lights were on at 5 in the morning from the baseball field?
Yes, so Coach Acosta has a pod. He's trying to really accommodate for all the students that he has. And we know we have some older students that do work in the afternoons. So to try to accommodate them, he is having pods in the morning. And also we do have a cheer pod that will be also working in the morning for the same reasons.
Okay, thank you, because I was just caught off guard on that one so early. But okay. Go on, Nelson. It's your
5 o'clock in the morning, man. Poor kids. I hope they don't sweat because it's going to freeze on them. Gabriel,
They started at 6.
Gabriel, also you had said that you wanted some stuff on the pods, and this is why it wasn't on the agenda, because Nelson was going to kind of give us an update. If you have questions at the end there, Gabriel, or you want some more information, this will be the place where you can ask them.
Yes,
Okay,
so
thank you, Mr. President.
I know that we had asked to start the pods a week before, but there were some things, safety precautions that we wanted to make sure. We want to make sure that all the kids had the paperwork done And we also wanted to make sure that we were informing parents. And so we did have a Q&A last week. I think you guys received the invites, just so that we would be able to present to parents. And we have started this week, and we've had pods starting this week, and they will gradually increase in the pods will start happening more and more frequently as the weeks go on. Does anybody have any questions about pods?
Mr. Diaz, thanks for all the work that you're putting in. I just actually have a question about,
Sure.
What's it looking like as far as readiness for competition goes, and what's that?
As far as competition is concerned, we, like I said, things change day to day, week to week, hour by hour. So the competition, what we have to do is have to have 2 weeks. So we were, at first it was 2 weeks that you had to be in hybrid in order for that to happen. And that's all you had to do. So within those 2 weeks, once you became in hybrid, you can go all out full practices. Okay, that changed. So the change was now you can't go, you have to be 2 weeks, but you also have to be 2 weeks in pods in this period of time. So because of the amount of time that there is for seasons and having spring break and the limitations that we were in, competition would be very difficult to have, at least for fall sports. Winter sports would be would start would start the whole full season within the guidelines that we have at the moment. So as we were looking at it, we would be able to provide one football game if we move forward this way.
Okay, thank you, Nelson.
Yeah.
Not very encouraging. Yeah, right. No, I get it.
How will you come to a determination whether that one game is a good thing? And are you going to get parent input, student input?
Well, I mean, as personally as a recommendation, it's very difficult to move forward with fall sports. But I mean, if you guys decide that this is something that we want to do and it's something that you guys want to push forward, then that's something that we can do. But in speaking with some coaches and other administrators, it just seems that this would be very counterproductive to the safety of the kids, being within the parameters that we had. Yes, sir, Mr. Cordova.
At this time, has the governor, or do you think that the governor will give an okay for competition in state for the games to go on?
As far as I know, the games are happening. As far as the NMA is concerned and the things that we've been told, games are happening.
That's what I mean.
Official start date was moved from the 22nd to the 1st, and that was by the governor.
That's the New Mexico Activities Association, but the governor, I haven't, in her addresses, I haven't heard that she has given even the colleges permission to play in state.
And you're right, I can't answer that. I mean, I go by what the NMA tells me and what we're allowed to do, and that's how I plan based off of their guidelines. And so at this time, those are their guidelines based on what they've received from the state as well. So those are the parameters that I work within. I wish I can have those answers directly from them so we can plan that way, but we don't. So I just plan based off of the parameters that I'm given.
Okay. Anything else? Thank you, Nelson.
Thank you. You guys have a good evening.
You too. Mr. Mendoza.
Yeah, it's public input pertaining to the agenda, Mr. Sepulveda.
I have a comment. This is Gabe.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'd like to know who made the decision to stop allowing the public to make comments on the YouTube stream. This is a public meeting, and there's two opportunities for public input, and we've effectively stopped allowing them to make any comments real time. So I don't know if that was a board decision. I don't remember voting on it, but it seems like it's not appropriate to not allow the public to make comments.
That Gabe came from the what do you call it? I don't know, the Snapchat or whatever, Twitter or something like that. That if the comments continued like they were coming in before, they would shut us down, and we don't want that to happen. So that's why for right now, it is the comments referring to our agenda, and those will be read. But any other comments that people are bringing, they can send those comments in writing or in text or something to Mr. Mendoza. But the comments that were coming in, that's what we've heard, is that they will shut us down, kind of like what they did to Trump. So that was the thing. If they comment in reference to our agenda, they can. But then
how is it?
any other thing, they can send it to Mr. Mendoza. Mr. Mendoza will send it to us to respond.
How?
But they can't because Victor was directed to turn the chat off the YouTube channel, so they cannot respond. They cannot make any comments, whether it's referring to the agenda or not.
Yeah, but those comments are still there. That will be sent to Mr. Mendoza.
I can't see them. I got onto YouTube and I can't see them.
Yeah, well, then I can't tell you where they're going. Okay? That was the direction that was given to us.
Mr. Holguin,
I asked Victor.
We will be reading the emails that are coming into the support, because this is guiding them to follow protocol and respond to how the board meeting agendas are advertised. We are providing a live stream, which is what we're mandated to do. Also, the chat has become troublesome, and at the state level, they said that it's inappropriate on some of the channels. So chat is not a requirement. As long as the public has a viewing link, that is all we're required. We have emails also of the individuals that have been following protocol. We have emails to read, and we've also supplied you guys with all of those emails in reference to 3 weeks ago when you guys requested that. I'm not sure if you're responding or what's being taken upon that, but I continue to get responses that no one's replying to. Mrs. Varela and Mr. Mendoza have replied. I'm not sure at the board level what you guys have taken into consideration and reaching back out to them.
Well, Victor, I'd like to chime in, and I do appreciate all the comments coming to us directly, but as board members, we have a responsibility of getting public input, and we have a responsibility of providing for that. And in your text, you mentioned that the New Mexico School Board Association said we didn't need to put out the opportunity for texting or in such a way that you shut it down. And the New Mexico School Board Association is not regulatory. They don't have that ability to say what we can and what we can't do as far as running our meetings. That's our call. About a year ago, I had big concerns about closed session meetings, and we had an attorney that came and was giving us really bad advice and is no longer with us, which I'm very happy. And we discussed his suggestion that we don't need to give the public an opportunity to speak at our meetings. And we resoundingly rejected that. Some perhaps a little bit more reluctantly than others, but taking this and doing this while we're in a meeting And changing the expectations without public announcement and without board consideration is very wrong. It's very wrong, and it's very frustrating. That is our role. And for anybody to unilaterally take that without having that discussion be here in this meeting prior to affecting any change is a complete disrespect for our role in getting public input. And as a matter of fact, the situation that we set up makes it difficult to mimic an open meeting. Why don't people get the same link that I get, that everybody else gets, that the the school staff gets, so that they can comment directly online? That would be the best resolution. It wouldn't have to do anything to do with any oversight from YouTube or from Twitter or from any other vantage point. It would be live stream, and it would be public input, and that should be unthreaded. This is shameful. This is absolutely shameful. I can't believe we're having a public meeting and then denying people to participate. That's about all I can say.
They can participate, Mr. Guadiana. They can. The only thing is that they need to stay within the parameters of our agenda. If they have other comments, like I said, they can text it to one of us, or they can send it to Mr. Mendoza, and he will direct those comments to whoever is responsible for that. If they have a comment about our maintenance, well, they can direct it to George. If they have comments about something that we can handle, they can direct it to us. They've got all our emails and stuff. We're not denying anybody to participate. The only thing is
we've changed the rules.
No, we're not changing the rules. That is what it is, that those comments that were being made were not very, how can I say this? Not very, I guess, legal, I'd say, and they could shut us down completely. Is what I'm saying.
Nobody was threatened, and that's the threshold for shutting down comments.
I consider it a threat when they tell me. I consider it a threat when they tell me that I need to resign. I consider some of those comments that came through a threat.
You have a low threshold for that consideration. That's certainly not what the industry can put forward. But the other part is that we have.
They can if I complain. They can if I complain.
Yeah, they're gonna go for it. I mean, that's the venue to go.
Exactly.
And the other part is that we have public agenda input at the public input at the very end that doesn't require any association with the agenda. How are we going to allow that, or are we going to allow that? And it could very well be personal opinions about our performance. And personally, if somebody has something to rag on me on, I can probably benefit from listening to that.
Yeah,
I would just say that.
But what I'm saying is that, does it have to be out here where everybody hears it? Why don't they send it directly to me?
It's called a public meeting, and when you start differentiating what can be said, if we were having a meeting and people lined up, would you ask them their question before they were allowed to speak in the open public input part? I can understand what you're saying about the agenda items. I understand what you're saying about the agenda discussion, but the second discussion is one that should be open, and we shouldn't be pre-screening that at all.
Yeah, that's your opinion.
I would say that we finally, after years of complaining that we don't get any public input and nobody came to our meetings, we finally created a platform and opportunity for people were comfortable. Our community members, that they were comfortable speaking on and engaging us on. And we took that away. And I disagree with that wholeheartedly, 100%. I'd like to see that YouTube live stream chat box come back. and give our public, the people that we serve, the opportunity to comment. And I agree, it should be respectful, it should be professional, but just taking it away like that without any discussion about it is wrong.
And we have made a decision without bringing it to the board. So there's discussions and there's decisions being made outside of the public eye, and that's a violation of what our responsibility is for. You're meeting with superintendents on a very frequent basis, and you even recommend that. But when it comes to making decisions or getting consensus without going through the school board, that's a violation of the Open Meetings Act.
Well, that's where Victor checked on it, and that's what they told us there. So
that was
you got any other comments, Victor, on it? Do you have any other comments, Victor, on this?
Yes, sir. So, you know, you guys as a board member, you guys realize the importance of decorum. So in an open meeting, in-person meeting, would people be able to stand up and just speak out of turn? You know, and this is just out of respect. I've read all the comments that come across, and you guys do not address them. We overlook them. You guys overlook them as well. I'm so busy monitoring to making sure we remove profanity so we don't get flagged from YouTube. We are listed as an educational site, our streaming link. So if we violate that and don't remove it before it's in the public view for more than, they gave us 2 minutes, I think. If we don't remove that, they'll flag us and they'll lock our stream. So the only other option is then to continue with our Google Live. The YouTube will be locked. This in turn also violates the ones that actually followed the protocol by submitting an email regarding either an item on the agenda or their public view, their view on certain things that are going on. Reading all those conversations that are just conversations between 3 or 4 individuals overrides and gets overlooked for the ones that actually follow the protocol and submitting that email. So, you know, it is a little overwhelming reading all this without you guys responding to it. You know, we'll read them and you guys never reply to them. That's one of the biggest things that they mention on there is the board does not really answer their questions. So if you'd like us to proceed, we do have some emails that we're going to read out according to the public section of the thing. But like I say, the YouTube stream turned into just conversations. And, you know, I have Daniel Jaramillo on there. He's the one that we both are constantly on that YouTube stream. So when it's opened up the way we've had it opened up, if we don't monitor that and remove items immediately, we will get flagged and your YouTube stream will be cut due to the fact that we're an education entity. I've tried to explain a lot of technological aspects to you yourself, Mr. Guadiana, and it just seems that you don't understand the full thing when it comes to that. This is a very difficult profession to make sure we have our ducks in a row, and there's a lot to it and making sure that we're in compliant with rules that are set that we have to follow. I'm not trying to violate anything with the Open Meetings Act or with how things are done. It's just the fact that the people that follow the proper channels are overlooked and aren't able to get their opinion out because we're reading conversations that do not pertain to anything on the agenda.
Victor?
So Victor, this is Gabe. So why would we read? Obviously, you know, you can look at those YouTube chats and see that half of them are just conversation, or half of them are maybe inappropriate some of them are inappropriate comments. Why can't you just read the ones that have substance to them, that are actual questions or meaningful comments, and just delete the rest?
I've tried that, sir, but Mr. Guayana insists I read every single thing. You know, the last 3 meetings that we've had, I've had to read every single item. I've put myself out there asking, you know, a lot of it doesn't pertain to it, but he says it's public comment, put it out. So that's what I'm doing. Like I said, we'd like to, if possible, proceed because we do have 4 to 6 emails that are in that just came in right now, that one of our techs would like to read out if given the opportunity, or we can wait till the next one. I'm not sure how to go, but that's just the I don't know what else to say to you.
Well, I would just
if you follow any of the other school board meetings in the area, the chat is turned off.
again, Mr. President, I would just say that, we've taken away a platform for our public to comment, and I think that, that decision was made without any board discussion. I think that, we shouldn't just sweep this under the rug. We should, let the board decide.
Yeah, and I take exception to what Victor's saying in terms of not wanting to comply, doing something that doesn't comply with the Open Meetings Act. The forum that we have set up requires people to be outside of this meeting. They're not like in Zoom or something where they're participating in this meeting. We've chosen to give them a different format. And they could be on a format where they could raise their hand, get identified, and then we could, if they start heading in a direction, we can address that personally and professionally there with them. But we've chosen to give them a different venue that requires them to use a different mode of communication, one of them being a chat, and they start using it as a chat rather than an actual directed input. And I have a problem with, if that's the venue that we're saying is appropriate for them to use, I have a problem not reading what it is that they say. But if we want to do it correctly, we should open it up so they have the same potential for comment as I do, as if we were a regular meeting. This format was fabricated so it differentiates between the people that we want to be on this format versus those that were not comfortable being on it. And that to me is a violation of the Open Meeting Act. We should be working towards an environment that would be like as if we were in an actual board meeting in the good old days where we didn't have to do this distancing. And we're not doing that. We created a format that is not friendly for discussion. It allows us to turn off a switch to tell people you can't communicate with us. No. And Victor, this is no reflection on you. You're trying to set it up with directions that you've been given. But the direction that we should be going to would be to simulate that of an open meeting with people in attendance.
Well, that's something that maybe we need to look at and try to work it out. But how are we going to do it? That's the question. And still stay within the limits of the law.
All we have to do is give people the same link that we have for them to log on and have them raise their hand to speak. And as they start to speak, if they're not speaking in an appropriate way, to address an agenda, in the agenda time to speak, then we can say, well, you can save that comment until the second public input. And if it gets to the point where it's derogatory and you're finding that you're getting threatened from that, you can address it right there and we can tell them that's the end of the conversation. I don't think it's that hard.
I don't know. What do you think?
Sorry to interrupt. Mariana, the exact meeting link to our Google live stream is what's advertised. Everything that Rini puts out there is what's advertised. The YouTube is what's advertised for public viewing, but anyone can dial in, anyone can type that link in and access the meeting and raise their hands and participate. No one does. We have a whole bunch of phone numbers that call in. I have no idea who they are, but no, they just dial in to listen. If you look at the attendees on the last 3 board meetings, sometimes we have maybe a dozen phone calls that are just in there. They're just listening, but they're dialing in from the information that Irene posts.
When the calls are made and the text messages are sent out, this link is not included in those. And that's the majority of the dissemination that is done for people within the district. And for those that are not parents or do not have an affiliation with the school, they don't even get those. I send messages, I forward my emails sometimes to people that want to attend, and they actually show up. So I don't think what you're describing is the way that people see as a viable option for them to get on. And maybe they're using one they're more comfortable with. But if we can make it clear to them that they can participate as we do by following this particular link, I bet dollar to donuts that they'd be doing that.
Mrs. Rodriguez, this information for this meeting is posted, correct?
Yes, it is. It's posted on the agenda. It's posted on our website.
It's not the Google Meet. The Google Meet address is posted on the agenda.
I believe what they're saying is it's the phone number that you can call in on. Like when I do the messages and I say you can call in using this number and the PIN, I think that's what they're talking about, sir.
Yep, that's what they're talking. That's what goes out. It's not this link. It's not the Google link to the meeting. And that's what I'm suggesting we put out as a form of joining the meeting.
Okay, well, we'll put it on the agenda for next meeting and make it an action item. Okay. Do we have anything out there right now, Victor?
I have a comment. I've had my.
Go ahead. Who is it?
Antonio Andasola. I'm using the hand raise feature.
Okay.
Currently, was not called on. So my question is to Mr. Guadiana, is your suggestion to have a community email bank so we can send that out to?
That would be awesome. As many addresses as we can possibly do. And even when we put our notice in the newspaper, that it include that as well.
Okay, so we can work out this problem in the future. I do want you to know that I did use the hand raise emoji or a little symbol for a few minutes and no one recognized me.
And I saw it. I saw it a couple of times when people were talking, and this little pause, I was about to mention it to Toy that you had raised your hand. Because I saw it about 3 times.
But I don't see it. I didn't see it.
I've used it. This is Gabe. I've used it several times just as a test to see if anybody would call on me. And I actually have to raise my hand and wave to get anybody's attention to be able to speak. So I just don't think it's being.
But I don't see the other one.
Yeah, watch it. I raise my hand. You should be able to see it.
Mine is too.
Okay, now I see it.
I
don't
see yours.
I see it.
I see Gabe's, and I saw Gabe's, and I see myself, and I see Antonio's.
So, Mr. Guadiana and the board, I guess my suggestion to you would be, I have been in meetings all last week with NMASBO, and during our conferences, which are similar to this, we have presenters, and we have people give these. There is a question and answer panel that's available during these type of meetings, but again, they don't let everyone jump on to ask their questions. They have everyone submit their questions in the question and answer panel, and then they're answered. And it seems to work well for every Zoom and Google conference that I've done. But my issue is that I don't see a whole lot of differentiation between that and the idea that they can submit their questions via email.
There's a world of differentiation. There's a world of differentiation in
Well,
that.
can you explain that to me? Because as a professional and as a grad student who uses this format very often, I don't see one.
There is one is I'd like to see a presentation of what it is you're talking about to better see that. But to have a different venue for communication screened by somebody is not at all what I'd like to see.
Ryle's back down.
And it could be a matter of getting us to learn which format to view things. For instance, we can click on the one that shows other participants that don't fit on our screen, and that would allow us to probably better screen when somebody raises their hands. There's all sorts of opportunities, but cutting people off is not one of them.
That is actually on your end that you would have to your screen, because on my answer it's tiled and I have every single person on our screen, so it's the individual user on the other end that needs to adjust their thing.
Exactly.
And back to our meeting, we did the last board meeting and the mill levy meeting, you brought that up about the link not being on there, and the link has been on the board meeting and the mill levy.
The Google Meet?
Yes, sir. If it's on the website.
I think it was for that one special meeting that we had to go with the 2 mill levy, but I don't remember it being on a school board meeting. But nevertheless, that's what isn't going out in the phone calls nor on the agenda.
So I think we need to restructure and reorganize this.
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, but the meeting link is on the district website.
It's not on the school board meeting agenda. I just looked again to verify, but the Google link is not on there. There's a phone number on there, but not a Google link for the meeting.
Okay, we'll put it on the next agenda and we'll see what we can come up with Victor. Okay? Is that all right with everybody? I'm not making a decision here by myself.
So how are we handling public
Yes,
input?
I am. Okay, administration, Mr. Mendoza.
Mr. President, members of the board, there's none on the agenda, so it takes us to superintendent report.
Okay.
Okay, and the first item on the superintendent report is just SB 9 election. I want to publicly thank all the community members that voted, and I respect everyone's right to vote and their decision, and I just thank them for coming out, and I think that the numbers spoke for themselves. It's been a while that we've had that many people respond, and it was almost 1,300 total, and that was a great response. Just a heads up to the school board that we will now bring this item for the election to take place in November. We have our RBC bond advisors. They're drafting the information that's going to be sent to the paper and the board. And Irene, you should be receiving that here in the next few days and see what's going on.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
And again, any comments for the public from the board in reference to SB 9?
The only thing that I say is that we probably if it don't pass this time in November, we'll probably lose about $400,000 to the district.
I have a comment in terms of, I don't know when is the last time a 2 mill levy hasn't passed. The fact that there were that many votes against it, because Cobre is very supportive of the schools. We saw that in the $7 million bond issue, and we've seen it with the continual renewal of the 2 mil levy. I think we really ought to take a look at what's going on in terms of that not getting approved. I think finally getting some participation has got people into the operation, and they've raised some concern. I personally voted for it, and I wish it would have passed, but I also have my reservations in terms of our use of the money. In just watching what's going on now with the readiness of the buildings, I don't know how many times I brought up the issue of the portable in Hurley and a number of different things, and I'm sure the leaks are still continuing in San Lorenzo. So I think we need to make a good appeal to the community that we're going to do a better job, and make sure that our commitment, we're sending out information on the bond issue, which is excellent. But it probably would have had an effect had we been doing that all along. And I think we had a better likelihood of it passing this last time. And so I hope that going forward, we start showing some transparency and accountability.
Thank you, Mr. Guardiana. Any other board members on any comments before we move on?
No,
Mr.
I don't think
Sepulveda,
so.
the next item that I have, okay, the next item that I have is the next board meeting is scheduled for March 8th. And also just a reminder that tomorrow the state marshal is here and will be here for the next 2 days to review. And we're ready to start. We'll be there to greet them, and then we'll move forward, and we'll keep going. Next item on the agenda is student representative report. Ms. Ortiz, are you on? Ms. Ortiz, are you on?
Mr. Ortiz? I don't see her, Mr. Mendoza.
I saw her earlier. I'll just try one more time. Ms. Ortiz, are you on?
Sir, I think she left because she's not on the list of who's here.
Okay, but I did see her earlier, Ms. Montoya.
Yeah, she
So-
was here earlier.
Yeah. So with that in mind, if for some reason we see her pop up here soon, we'll get her on. Please help me out. The next item for the agenda is public input. Victor?
Yes, sir. Mr. Jordan Valentine will read those for me off the support account.
Hello, Board President and the members of the board. I'm Jordan over in the Technology Department. We have 4 emails, 3 of which are from staff to read from the email list. The first one is from Diana Barragan. I asked the board to please consider bringing staff and students back into the building until all staff has had the chance to receive the vaccines. Many of us have underlying conditions and/or family members that are elderly, and spouses or other immediate family members that have more than one underlying condition. This is very concerning for her family and herself. That was the first comment. Do you guys want me to continue on, or you guys want to address that?
Troy, is it
I don't
okay
think
to
we're
address that
forcing
comment?
any staff. Right.
And to Mrs. Barragan, we're not. It is not going to be a forced re-entry, and we are hoping that the vaccine is given at least to the teachers prior to attending. But I would want that to be confirmed by Mr. Mendoza, because I think he was going to have some discretion on whether a teacher returns to or not. But I'm certainly hoping, and I would not recommend having somebody that doesn't want to attend and hasn't had a vaccine come into the classroom.
Mr. Guadiana and members of the board, I can tell you right now, as employees, teachers mainly want to talk to me, and they're referred to by principals, and I've asked them to do that. I've yet to refuse anybody's request to stay home, and I don't even want to get into their personal aspect because that's so private. But I do want to work with their concerns, and this is why you see the principals constantly having to change their schedules for reentry, simply because if just one staff member leaves, of course, then we have to have somebody cover if half our kids come leave remote learning and then come in for hybrid. We still have to have somebody physically taking care of the kids and participating with the lessons. And well, yes, I do. I asked that the teachers call Irene, and Irene, we've contacted everybody that's concerned. As a matter of fact, I have 3 people lined up tomorrow that are coming in. All right. And I spent a couple of hours with, no, I'm sorry, 1 hour with over there in San Lorenzo with Mr. Corey, because there's a concern there with the staff members not wanting to come back. And I shared with them that I totally respect their situations, okay? And we kind of got it semi worked out, but we're still trying to figure that out, okay? So I hope I answered your question there. Do you have a next, another reading?
Yes, sir. The next
Please
one
go ahead.
comes. Oh, sorry. Next one comes from Anna Treviso. Sorry about the name. So money is being spent that is not there, and to make up for it, you take it from operations. Isn't operations maintenance? If so, that means that you are taking funds to make our school functional. What bills are being paid?
It's a rather lengthy question there. Can that be brought to the attention of our finance and see how we can accurately answer that, please?
I'm here if anybody would, if you wanted to ask, I'm here.
And what I'm saying here for the response is send it to the finance department, and then we'll also make sure that the board members get answered also on your request.
Okay. Okay.
Perfect. That'll get forwarded.
I thought I heard it was okay. You kind of broke up, but is that correct? Well, we picked it up, so you guys in the tech department send that to Terry, and we'll look at it, okay? Thank you.
Yes, sir. Would you like me to move
Any
on?
other?
We have 2 more. The next
ahead,
one.
Jim.
Next one comes from Sabrina Villabla. I'm just wondering how it will work for each teacher to essentially have 3 or more different levels of teaching, all expected each day. Having 2 groups of students possesses its own challenges, but on top of that, adding online teaching and attempting to keep all the students at or around the same speed and level throughout the day is exhausting and will burn out so many of us. I was wondering how going back to school and essentially only having 2 days of in-person instruction could possibly be better than the students having 4 days of online instruction. Will we be getting aid to help us sort this out and help with the workload? I don't think this issue of learning is solved by taking responsibility of the parents. We still need their help. Another major issue I have with the hybrid learning is that the vaccines are supposed to get isn't guaranteed for longer than 6 months. Will we have time off if we have an adverse reaction to the vaccine, or what protocols for the vaccine and illnesses will be endured having students back in class and having so many people all in the same area?
Hey, Jordan, thank you for reading that. I received that email earlier today, as well as I think our principal, Ms. Montoya, you might have received that. And I think Joyce received it as well as Jose. Yeah, we're going to work on that here in the next couple of days too, because we need Sandra. All of us got to get together. And that is a good question. Well, I'm sorry, but the question is more secondary when they have all those. Is that not true, Sandra? The way it was expressed?
I was thinking it was more of a special ed and elementary, because on our schedule, we have, if the students, so on Monday, Tuesday, A through L would be coming in. So the students M through Z would be logging online during their assigned class period. So we're not teaching more than that one subject area at that one class period. I know special ed has 2 or 3 classes at the same time, so we're working on that with an aide and helping our special ed teachers with that area.
So Sandra, I'll ask Joyce and Jose to get together with Melissa, and then let's really look at that letter and see where it's coming from, okay? Jordan, we'll make sure you send us a copy of this in case it's different from the letter that I'm talking about, okay?
Can you also send it to me so I can make sure it's not secondary?
Yes, I can make sure that gets done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question in terms of, do you take the question to be something that other people are feeling as well, and maybe not as informed as we would like them to be? And is there should there be an effort to better inform people to address their concerns?
Who are you addressing the question to, Mr. Guardiana?
To you, Mr. Mendoza.
Okay. See, this letter, when I read it, it just seems similar to what was said tonight. I thought it was secondary, but I appreciate those letters coming in and stuff like that, because we have time to, digest it and really look at it and see what it is. Sandra corrected me, and I hadn't thought that it could possibly be elementary, okay? Because at the high school, you do have teachers that teach multi-grade levels, and then also subjects. And of course, the elementary, self-contained, but I just thought it was secondary, but I appreciate getting that way. At least we can get together here the next 2 days. And unfortunately, I'm tied up with the fire marshal here the next few days, but I can think Joyce can help me up with getting the groundwork done, and we can get back to the person that sent us that email and also the comment today.
Yeah, but the comment wasn't so much about getting back to that one person. I'm just wondering if the level of anxiety is great, with other people, and maybe there's a way to address that on a wider scale.
This is going to really affect a lot more people. Yes, sir. Yeah. Thank you. And we will address it and answer that and really look into it. It's also going to the school. Which school is it coming from too, so that we can help out the principal and give them a heads up. Good. Thank you. That's great. Jordan will give us the last one.
A couple more have come in, actually. We got one from Arthur Quintana. I am really saddened that the public input is taken away from YouTube live chat box. I would really like for the chat box to come back into the meeting. It is real time and allows us to ask questions we have at the time. Please reconsider, as one person should not make the decision to take it off.
Thank you. That will be addressed here in the near future with board members. That's up to Mr. Sepulveda. That we'll address that later. Thank you.
And then, sorry, Mr. Mendoza, we do have one other one, and it was from Chris Dominguez, and it was in reference to last week's mill levy meeting. I don't know if you want me to bring that one up. It just came in right now. He asked if he could get that put in as a public input. I know, I know Joyce and Terry are working on getting the information according to the email thread, but what's highlighted on what he sent was, I arrived after the mill levy meeting was adjourned and watched. I'm not sure as to the proper communication channel, but when this was posted on Facebook, questions or concerns, the email, which I did, and my concerns were not brought up during this meeting. If I was supposed to be on the meeting and post a comment as to my concern and not email them, I do apologize for that. I have contacted the Grant County Assessor's Office, and they did in fact inform me, yes, property taxes will increase for the Cobre School District residents. Nothing was mentioned about taxes currently imposed staying the same. I did speak with Mr. Sepulveda, and I informed him of what the assessor's office had told me, and he was going to inform Mr. Mendoza to contact the Grant County Assessor's Office. A week later, I spoke again with Mr. Sepulveda to know that the outcome of the issue, whether taxes will increase or stay the same. Mr. Sepulveda said he didn't know if Mr. Mendoza had spoken to anyone or not, but assured my taxes will not increase. I prefer to know a defined answer from the assessor's office, because ultimately they will know the correct answer based on property tax codes. And then I do have one other one, staff member. They think that it's too late to start school, especially with spring break. They haven't gotten their vaccines yet, and then to bring everyone back is crazy.
I received a lot of that information, board members, via the union, okay, the representatives from the union, and we talked this weekend. I mean, that was part of my weekend talking was with them, and we have an understanding of, again, we're not forcing anybody to come back, and I'm just repeating myself, but I did talk to the leadership, at least one person from the leadership that called me, well, returned my call, and we talked about it. So I'm pretty confident that we can help the teachers with their situations. Okay, so they got to call me, and then we'll go from there. Thank you, Victor.
And I just want to say something, Victor. I did talk to Mr. Dominguez, and I did call the assessor's office, but nobody answered the phone. I left messages for them to call me back, and as of yet, none from that office has given me a call, because I did want to make sure that it was a mistake, that if this mill levy had gone through, the property taxes would not, and I repeat, not go up, and that they were giving out some wrong information. So, but nobody has called me back yet.
Mr. President, I got a comment real quick on in regards to that mill levy. With your permission, or Mr. Mendoza's, or the board's, once we get closer to this mill levy, if it would be possible, I can coordinate with our county the assessor Raul Turrieta and ask him to be in one of the Zoom meetings, or he can be here with me, and he would be able to give that information to the public of where the assessor stands with and whatever questions they would have in regards to the mill levy.
Frank,
thank you, Frank.
Frank,
Go ahead.
Frank, that's probably better to do it with the treasurer, because the assessor just determines property value. The treasurer is the one that assigns the taxes.
Okay, well, even with Patrick Hahn, I can get with Patrick once we get closer to it, and I can invite Patrick and see if he would give a presentation.
I think that'd be good.
Okay. Thank you, Frank.
Thank you, Frank. Appreciate that.
Any other comments?
Mr. Sepulveda, this is Gabe. I just have a question, I guess, on, the comments that come in via email that are addressed to all of us board members. How would you like to proceed with those responses? Are you going to respond to those? Would you like for us individually to respond to them? How do you want to move forward with that?
I can respond to them. If I don't know the answer, I can get with, if it has to do with maintenance or something, I can get with Mr. Peru. If it has to do with finances or something, I can get with Terry, or if something else, I can get with Mr. Mendoza, and combined, we can put a response together.
Are you able to do phone comments or no?
I think somebody doesn't have their phone muted, but I would like to request that I be CC'd on those responses.
Yeah, we can do that.
And I think the easiest way to do that is just reply to all when you, when anybody replies. And that way they will stay actually posted, if I'm correct, on the website.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you guys, appreciate that.
And that is also a question I had to see if you guys can be a little clarify a little bit more on the email. As you know, yes, it is public comment when it comes in, but I'm not sure if everyone wants their email address out there. Can you clarify on how you want me to proceed with that, because that is it's confidential.
No. Our email address is at least the Gmail one from the school is public information.
Yes, but you use your personal. But I'm referring to the public sending their emails to us. You know, the ones that we send you guys. How do we proceed with that when you want us to post them on the web?
Use our Gmail.
No. I'm stating you wanted me to post all public emails that are coming into the support account to the website for public viewing. My concern is, how do I go around that when I don't have permission to post people's personal email addresses? I don't know if that wants to be out there. You guys can clarify that.
But
I think that's something that we need to get with those people that send those, that if they want their email to be out there in the public.
Yes, sir. That's all. That's all I want to know.
Okay.
Because I to this day, from the 2 weeks ago when you guys said you wanted all emails posted onto the district website, we have not done so because we don't know. I didn't know how to proceed with that on people's personal information. Your guys is, yes, I know it's public. That's already on there, but I'm saying if someone else was to send something in, how do you want me to proceed? Or
yeah, reading them, but putting them out there is something else.
That could be part of the discussion next meeting.
Thank you. With that, Mr. Sepulveda, items for next agenda, can we go to that?
Yes.
Before we get off of that, before we get off public input, I had a question regarding, have we received any reports from PED regarding?
I have a question on public input. You keep muting me.
So somebody else has a question on public input. I'll defer to them first. I think they had.
Yeah, it looked like a number ending in 45.
Well, go ahead, Mr. Guardiano.
Hi, I have a question.
Just go ahead, please.
Go ahead. Go ahead with your question.
I'm sorry, it's just a bad connection. My question is this is Ana Treviso. My question is on this public input to call in. I just want to know, I think on the public input, why would you take it out when people want to comment on real time with questions that are going on right then and right now? When people want to comment on real time with questions that are going on right then and right now.
Okay. Mr. Viso, that is something that we're gonna discuss at the next board meeting. Are you there, Mr. Viso?
Yes, I'm here. I'm listening. I was just waiting for the comments.
Yeah, that is something that we're going to discuss at the next board meeting and make a decision on.
I just want to say that it's really heartfelt because it's just so many people come into these meetings, when they can. Sometimes it's only at 5 o'clock, and I just feel like it should be a board vote, if not the public's vote, just to say, or have a question and dispute it or ask questions at that point in time. So I just feel like every time something important comes up, I've been watching these meetings and I feel like the more important questions, when they're asked, it's kind of like everything gets tabled.
Okay, but that's something that we're going to discuss at the next board meeting. Leave it open, or what are we going to do?
Okay, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
The
Okay, Mr.
question I
Guadiana.
had, have we, thank you. The question I had, have we received any reports from PED or from the NEA members of the Cobre faculty?
That I don't know, but I know that Mr. Mendoza spent some time with the union today, so I don't know exactly what all went on there.
No, to answer your question, to the best of my knowledge, I don't think I've received any, except this weekend I started seeing where they sent me an email as the group, okay, and I responded immediately. But I'd rather talk to them on the phone or face to face. I know we can't get face to face. I'd rather. It's something that if they contact me, I respond immediately. So, as far as the PED, I can ask our other administrators if we have, but we meet every Thursday with the Secretary of Education for New Mexico, and that's every superintendent, every chartered school leader, and that's a meeting. And then tomorrow, we meet as superintendents and review what's going on with the legislature, where we are on certain bills that we need to make sure they pay attention to us, and that's an ongoing thing. It's scheduled throughout the year, and those are meetings that come through. I don't know if I've answered your question, Mr. Guadiana, but specific memos to that, I can't recall any on that.
Okay,
Thank you, sir.
thank you.
Okay, item for the agenda, Mr. Sepulveda. I've got one.
The only
and I'd
thing
like
that I have. Go ahead.
Okay, the one I've got is, I don't know if some of you know Mr. Rob Price, Price. He's with ASA Architects out of Las Cruces. He's going to present the drawings for the high school gym that we're ready and been waiting forever to get going on. So he will be on the agenda, and Irene, make sure the drawings that he sent or is sending for review are in the board's packet, okay? I know he said he wants to make sure you all have it with plenty of time to digest it over the weekend, okay? So that's coming up, and other than that, I don't have any other pressing that I'm aware of right now, so I'll leave it
The
up
only
to you guys.
other thing, Mr. Mendoza, is the thing on the chat and the social media thing.
Okay, yeah, Irene, please take your notes so that we make sure we do that. And then a standard, a review, we'll have Joyce with an update on the reentry as well as the pods where we're at, okay? And then I think we need to have some time next time to have the principals to give an update on their schedule, see how it's coming, and that's all elementary, all 6 of them. We'll keep them in a time limit of, say, 1 minute. Is that enough, principals? I'm kidding. I can just hear no. We'll make sure they can present that. And then, of course, Nelson, you're not getting away from us. There'd be more questions on athletics, so we'll go there.
Of course.
Anybody else? Anybody? Terry? No. Joyce? No.
I'd like to see a report from the budget committee. The progress there has been not productive. Again, we're supposed to meet this Wednesday, and again, information's not provided with plenty of time to digest, or any time to digest. And it's, I think, really affecting the board's ability to do its job.
Okay.
And again, we're going to be faced with passing a budget without properly reviewing it.
Yeah. I will be in and out on that one because I've got to be with the fire marshals and stuff. But I would love to, Terry, if you can include me at the start, if I can get in, because I just want to bring the committee up to the point where the Senate Bill 9 election not having been approved, now we have an additional $400,000+ that we have to budget come for September 1. Okay, so because you never know when the maintenance and repair situations hits us. Okay, so that's going to be a big issue that we need to discuss. And it's for discussion.
I still don't want to take away from the focus that we're heading now to better understand the budget is the staffing and the salaries of people and their assignments.
Okay, but you have that already, or should have it, Mr. Guardiana.
No.
No, what I'm saying, please, now that you brought that up, we need to be real careful when we're dealing with personnel. Again, we cannot continue to say that's not part of our budget committee. And I'll leave it at that because we'll discuss it some more.
Yes, salaries are public information. There's nothing there related to personnel. And we can keep it in that context.
Please, if we can keep it in that context, but don't bring up history as to why.
If history is relevant and it has to do with salaries, then it's relevant. We're not talking about a personnel.
Executive session, sir. That's executive session. So I'm not going there. You guys as committee can do it, but as superintendent, I can't discuss anything private like that. So
well, I'll make my comments. I'll make my comments, and you can decide whether to comment on it or not.
Okay, but then, like you say, we've got. You're one that pushes compliance with the executive session, but yet here we're walking a thin line. Okay, so I'm bringing it up so the rest of the board members know where I'm coming from, and that's here nor there. Okay, so like I say, like everybody tells me sometimes, if the shoe fits, let's wear it. But I'm not going to go that route. Okay, so with that, other than that, Mr. Sepulveda, I don't have anything for. Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on.
We do have one more item for the next board meeting. We've been working with PSFA on broadband, working with the consortium on a proposal to bring broadband into our community. And so they have requested to be on the board for next meeting. Irene, I had forwarded you that information a while back. So we need to remember to please put them on for the March 8th meeting. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Joyce.
Mr. President. Mr. President,
Go ahead,
did you
Gabe.
capture the discussion on options of how to handle public input?
No, they were real broken up. I couldn't even hear them.
Right. So are we going to discuss the YouTube chat feature, options on how to handle public input?
Yes, that's what I've got down, the chat and other social media.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I also put something in the chat for the board members to see if you guys can assist me with that or include that in part of your discussion as well.
Okay. And you can be on it also, Victor, as we chime in if we're heading the wrong direction there.
Yes, sir.
And I was just going to say another thing. I won't be at the budget meeting on Wednesday. Because I know the other day a person told me that what was the difference if somebody was in the hospital? Well, that person died, and I got to get things ready for a funeral mass here at San Lorenzo. So I won't be at the meeting on Wednesday morning.
Understood.
Okay.
Anything else?
No, sir.
Motion to adjourn.
We'll move, Frank.
Motion by Mr. Cordova, we adjourn. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.